We got this from the Post Millennial. Seattle cops won't respond to alarm calls without supporting evidence, police chief. With depleted resources, we cannot prioritize a patrol response when there is very low probability that criminal activity is taking place. Welcome to the end of your blue cities. I have no idea how we navigate this. Now, this story's big. Why? Because the huge news the other day was the FBI claims that violent crime declined in 2020. Look at this awful website. AP, your website is awful. It's very bad. FBI finds violent crime declined in 2023. Here's what to know. It's not true, by the way. They didn't find that crime declined. This is a lie. Let me break it down for you. The FBI found that reported crimes, reporting on crimes is down, and that police agencies are many of them are no longer participating in crime reporting. Now, what happens is the corporate press, because they're evil, politically motivated, and want to trick you, put out these statements. Violent crime declined. No, reported violent crime declined. That's what we know. And agencies are not reporting. So, likely crime is going up. You tell me how to reconcile these things. Seattle cops don't want to respond to alarm calls without evidence. So police are less likely to respond. In California, if the theft doesn't exceed $900 some odd, they don't go after these people. You tell me how that translates to crime is going down. It's illogical. I mean, the left likes the narrative because they can say, see, policing is bad. However, what do we see in Philadelphia? You got rings of fire, flamethrowers, cops getting attacked. Oh, boy. All right. Let's start with the Post-Millennials story. They say, Seattle police will no longer respond to calls from alarm companies unless there is supporting evidence of a crime. According to a September 13th letter from the interim Seattle Police Chief Sue Rahr, beginning October 1st, SPD will only dispatch officers to calls from alarm companies if there is supporting evidence of a crime, such as audio, video panic alarms, or eyewitnesses that a person is illegally entering or attempting to enter a residence or commercial property. So what, is Brinks going out of business or leaving the state because now they're worthless? Rahr wrote, with depleted resources, we cannot prioritize a patrol response when there is a very low probability that criminal activity is taking place. SPD has lost over 700 officers since they began defunding the police in 2020 in response to the George Floyd riots. Seattle 911 Center receives approximately 13,000 annual residential and commercial burglary alarm calls from monitoring companies, and according to Rahr, most of those calls are due to an unintended sensor trip by a homeowner or business employee, while others are the result of old or failing equipment. And you know what? I got to tell you, they're not completely wrong. But imagine this. So we got alarms. I don't want to get too much into our security. We always get responses. Could you imagine you have an alarm set up specifically so that if there's a burglary or fire or otherwise, first responders will get there. And then they say, yeah, but we're too concerned about the likelihood is low. There's an emergency, so we just won't go anyway. Why even bother having the alarm anymore? People are going to switch to cameras now. In 2023, less than 4% of the calls were confirmed to have a crime associated with them that resulted in an arrest or report being written. But let's pause right there. If someone breaks into my house and the police show up, they might say, was anything taken? You can be like, some small things, I don't know. And they're going to say, do we really need a report for this? We're not going to find the guy. And a lot of people will just say, nah, I guess not. Some people will say, I need the police report for my insurance. But if someone breaks into your house and the alarm goes off and the cops show up and then you say, I don't know if anything was taken. I don't know what happened. Somebody ran off. I saw him running. They're going to be like, okay, well, like, what are we doing here? I once had a theft and I called the police. I had a motorcycle stolen. And the police were like, so what do you want us to do? And I said, can you help me find the bike? And they're like, kid, you really think we're going to find your bike? And then I was like, I don't know. And they're like, there's no way. Okay. They stole your motorcycle, brought it to chop shop, ripped the shell off, painted it. And this thing's identical to 1,000 other bikes. I'm sorry, dude. Your bike is gone. Do you really want us to write it up? And I was like, I guess, I don't know. And they're like, we will. Okay, fine. I can't remember exactly if we ended up writing it up or not. I think what ended up happening was they just told me, there's nothing they can do about it. Have a nice day. And I was pissed too because, so I had a 149cc bike and it fit perfectly in my apartment building in this like, in this area. It didn't obstruct anybody. It was in the corner of like, I don't know how you describe the room. It was like a back stairwell area. And then one day the landlord put up a sign saying, keep your motorcycle out of the stairwell area. And I'm like, it's like under the stairs away from everybody. And it's like not a living area or anything like that. I said, fine. So I brought it outside and I locked it up with a bike lock instead. And then woke up the next day and it was gone. So I was pissed because I could not afford that. It was $1,000 little bike and it was fun. And it was how I got around. And, you know, and then I found out the police wouldn't do anything about it. You couldn't do anything about it. And that's just it. That's Chicago. Crime happens. You can't do anything about it. Well, this is where we're going, my friends. Violent crime, they say, declined. What about property crimes? Do you expect me to believe this? When my friends in Chicago are saying it's worse than it's ever been, and they've lived there their whole lives? The reality is, as I brought up the other day with the Marshall Project, police agencies are not reporting to the FBI what's actually going on. So you mean to tell me that Seattle's saying we're not even going to bother? So look at it this way, 4%. This means about 1 in 25 burglary alarms is a legit, serious crime that needs to be stopped. And they're saying, not good enough for us. Doesn't cross the threshold. We need proof a crime is being committed beyond a burglary alarm going off. Como News said, the verified response policy has been tried and rejected numerous times, including by cities such as Dallas, Texas, San Jose. It goes against best practices established through a collaborative effort by the International Association of Chiefs of Police and National Sheriff's Association. The new policy will affect over 75,000 alarm sites in Seattle. I got to tell you, if you got any one of these big companies, talk to them. I'm assuming, you know, not to single out Brinks, they may do more than just these alarms, but whatever companies, they're useless. If the police ain't coming, why bother having any sensors at all? What you're going to have to do now is install cameras in every single room of your business. We actually have cameras in every single room of this business. No joke. Aside from the fact that I'm looking at a camera and I'm filming this, every room has 24/7 live streamed security cameras. Now, I'm not going to get into great detail on our entire security protocol. That would be stupid. But while we also have sensors and we'll know if someone trips and breaks in, there are cameras pointed at everything. And we have secret cameras too. I'll let people know that one. That one I'm okay with them knowing about. So this is what you're supposed to do with security, right? We have the very obvious cameras that film every room, wide angle, 24/7. You can pull it up online. We check these things. And then we have secret cameras that are not visible. There's the obvious ones we use for the studio, but there are a lot of people that will try and think they're going to find, we want people to know you're being filmed if you break in here. We got you. And then we can even see you leaving and coming and going. But we also want to make sure that anyone who tries to find blind spots is just walking into, like, there are no blind spots, I'll put it that way. And so the hidden cameras are because sometimes people might try to, they'll still be on camera and they try to create a plausible deniability thing by, I'll give you an example. When drug dealers are drug dealing, they don't walk over and say, here's the money for the drugs. They put it in their palm and they shake hands and then swap. Balled up money, balled up drugs, handshake, because they know they're being watched. A secret angle might show you that before he closed his hand, he had the drug. So that's why we also have cameras that are not visible, right? That's the point. And audio. Like this, we have all that stuff. I got to tell you, that's why we have a big sign saying, like, everything you say and do is recorded here. It's a production studio where we're filming 24/7. None of it's a secret. But where we're currently at right now is this country is facing a spike in crime, and they're lying about it. Now, there's the FBI saying violent crime is down. And then there's the people. And the people are saying it's worse than I've ever seen. So you choose which one is you want to believe. Which do you want to believe? Honest question. Do you want to believe that the FBI is right? Well, the Marshall Project says that police aren't reporting crimes to the FBI. So these numbers are inaccurate. The Democrats are saying crime is down. They're trying to get reelected. The funny thing about all of it is you ain't going to convince someone who's experiencing it. So if I live in Chicago, you know, my friends do, and they say crime is bad. And then I'm going to say, no, it's not. Crime's fine. Democrats said so. They're going to say, you're nuts. I'll tell you one of the crazier things is that one of my buddies from the South Side hit me up, and he was just like, just want to let you know we're all voting for Trump. And I'm like, really? I was like, all the old homies? It's like, yeah, 90% Trump. 90%. South Side of Chicago, working class, near the airport by Midway. And they're saying that it's basically all like moderate MAGA country. Not super diehard Trumpers, but they are just not on board with Kamala and Biden. They're upset with the way things are going. The crime is through the roof, and they're just sick of it. And I was talking to another guy from Chicago, too. He said it's a nightmare now. The crime, 13-year-old gangbangers running around with guns, and you don't even know what's going on. Sad to hear it, man. Sad to hear it. But maybe it's a wake-up call. After 100 years of Democrat rule, maybe people will finally wake up and say we need political competition. So we'll get to all that. But there is this big story here with the Marcellus Williams, which I'll mention a little bit, maybe later on. Missouri executes a man for the 1998 killing of a woman despite her family's call to spare his life. Let's talk about the death penalty. I have long complained of the death penalty, but we'll do this one as a bonus segment. And for now, we'll go to your super chat. So smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all of your friends. Next segment will be at 6 p.m. Gen Z's getting fired. Uh-oh. This is bad news for us. I know people want to gloat and say, the young people ain't working. Nah, this is bad news for us. Thanks for hanging out. Follow me on X at Timcast. Subscribe, become a member at timcast.com, and we'll see you all in the next segment.